Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for waiting patiently for us to get things started over here. I am Dane Stewart, one of the content developers here at Moving to Canada, and we've got a very exciting live stream planned for you guys today on a topic that we get a ton of questions about all the time, which is managing your finances as a newcomer to Canada. Just a heads up, if you are watching this video later on, once we've uploaded it to YouTube, you can simply use the timestamps that are right there in the description to jump ahead if there's a specific topic you're interested in. And those of you who know me probably know that I'm not an expert when it comes to finances, which is why today we are joined by a very special guest, Raza Hassan, who is the Chief Risk Officer of Wealth and Personal Banking with HSBC Bank Canada. So Raza, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us today. How are you doing out there?
Oh, thank you, Dane. I'm doing very well. How are you doing?
I'm doing, as well as can be considered at this particular moment in time. And according to my records here, you are based in Toronto. Is that right?
That's true.
Okay. I know a lot of our audience ends up moving to Toronto. A lot of our audience is already in Toronto. It is the most popular destination in Canada for newcomers. So maybe just before we get into the financial side of things, can you maybe share with our audience what is it like for newcomers in Toronto? And I know like maybe 2020 isn't the most representative year, but pandemic aside, what's Toronto like?
Well, Dane, I'm probably very biased, but Toronto is a very cool city. It's a city that I live in. It's a very multicultural city. When you come here, you see people from all different backgrounds. You can find food from any country, culture, music, clothes, and it's a very welcoming city. When I came to Toronto, 25 years ago, I was just amazed by how welcoming the Torontonians were. And as you know, I came from England and I was a big
Okay.
cricket fan. And Toronto is a big sporting city too. So while I was a cricket fan, when you come here, now my children were born here, and I'm a big hockey fan now.
Oh, you
And
are you a Leafs fan?
Oh, unfortunately, I am. They will hopefully soon win. We had a great Raptors. We have a great Raptors team here, Blue Jays. So it's all sports, and cricket for all is one of the most fastest growing sport here in Toronto. So it's just a fabulous city with such multiculturalism and people from so many different backgrounds. Just a fabulous place.
Yeah, I know. In the latest census back in 2016, they found I think it's 47% of the population of Toronto is first generation newcomers. So that's I mean, there's obviously a ton of diversity there. Unfortunately, I myself am a Habs fan, and they didn't tell me that you were a Leafs fan before we set up this live stream.
I'm
But
sure
we'll
we'll
push
catch
on.
up. Yes.
So just before we jump into things, I'm going to give a little preview of the topics that we'll be covering in today's live stream. So hopefully you guys can all see this. This is our table of contents. So we're going to be starting off today's live stream with an overview of some of the financial to-dos and must-haves upon arrival. Specifically, we're going to talk about social insurance numbers or SINs. Then we're going to talk about bank accounts in Canada, and closely related to bank accounts, the subject of credit cards. And all of these are things that you're probably going to want to arrange either before you're in Canada or within your first week in the country. So they're really important foundational topics for us to cover. After that, we're going to jump on to the second item on that list, an overview of mortgages in Canada. So this section will be for anyone who is considering buying a home in Canada. We'll be explaining what a mortgage is, how down payments work, your mortgage term, mortgage rates, mortgage lenders, all of that fun stuff, everything that you need to know when you create your home buying plan. And finally, we will end off with a quick review. You can see item 3 there of some special types of accounts and plans in Canada that can help you maximize your savings and investments. So this includes RRSPs, RESPs, TFSAs, a ton of really fun acronyms that I promise you we will be unpacking later on. And we'll be touching on those subjects briefly, but we do also have some new guides we've published. So we'll let you guys know how to access those resources if you want to do some further research later on. Now, as I did mention there, one of the first things that you're going to need in Canada is a bank account. And we here at Moving to Canada are very happy to recommend getting started with HSBC Bank Canada. As an international bank, HSBC understands the challenges of moving to a new country. They've got offerings that are uniquely suited to newcomers, which includes multi-currency savings accounts and globally accessible bank accounts. And you can learn more. HSBC has a cool program called the Newcomers program, specifically designed for newcomers. And you can learn more about that by clicking the link right there in the pinned comment. Please be aware that terms and conditions do apply to that offer, which is issued by HSBC Bank Canada and HSBC Investment Funds Canada Incorporated. And you can get more information in the pinned comment, which takes you to hsbc.ca/newcomer. So enough of me just talking. It is time for us to do what we all came here to do, which is benefit from your expertise, Raza. So are you ready to jump into it?
Oh, sure.
Okay, let's go. So, our first topic today is social insurance numbers or SINs. This is a 9-digit number that will be unique to you. Once you're in Canada, you apply to the government, they send you your SIN. So, Raza, can you tell our viewers why is a social insurance number so important when managing your finances in Canada?
Yeah, sure. I mean, as you just described, it is a 9-digit number that the government of Canada issues. It's like for for people that are watching it, it's like your government ID card number that many other countries have too. And reason you need that in Canada is if you are someone that wishes to work in Canada, so people that are citizens of Canada, permanent residents, people that are coming from abroad, temporary residents. Um, if you are somebody that wishes to work here, you do need to get that card. And if you're also someone that wishes to avail the different government programs and benefits that exist in Canada, and later on we'll talk about the RRSPs and other investment programs. And for accessing those, you do need a SIN number and need to make sure that you're registered and get your SIN number.
Okay. And Raza, can you tell our viewers how do they apply for a SIN? What's the process like?
Yeah, so I still remember when I came to Canada and I landed. That was 25 years ago. That was the way you had to do it. Is you had to go down to a government office, take all your documents, apply for it, and in person. And things have changed quite a lot now, and you can do it in a multiple ways. The best thing is for you to go to the Government of Canada website. It gives you all the details about how you can do it. So you can do it, online now. That wasn't as possible a long time ago. So online is one way you can do. You can do it in person, or you can mail it. So there are many ways, and if you go to the government.ca website, it has all the details of how that can be done.
Okay. Yeah. And as you mentioned, one of the cool things that's come out of COVID is
Yes.
the online application process
Application. Yeah.
for SIN, because we had a lot of people who are landing and having to do that 2-week quarantine
Yes.
where you can't get much done, but thankfully they amended that process. And as you mentioned, Raza, you do generally need some type of legal immigration status in Canada in order to get your SIN. So your permanent residence, study permit, work permit, that sort of thing. So it's not something you can do terribly far in advance because you do need to nail down the nail down the immigration part of that things first. So, Raza, in your experience, are people going to require a social insurance number when they go to open a bank account?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. A SIN number is always helpful when opening a bank account, but it's not required. In Canada, um, individuals have right to basic banking, and if you are opening a basic bank account, which doesn't involve interest, you do not need a a SIN card. The bank will be happy to open an account by using Dane, as you said, you do need your lending paper. So if you are a new immigrant that has come to Canada or even applying from overseas, you need your lending documents, you need your foreign passport. So you need a number of documents to open a bank account, but SIN is not required. Now, SIN will be required if you are opening a bank account which where interest is involved, or you are opening account where there are other types of bank accounts, which we'll later touch on, much more investment related.
Right. Okay. And this does actually lead us really well into our next topic, which is bank accounts in Canada. And I know this is really your bread and butter here, Raza. So, can you tell our audience a little bit about banking in Canada? What should newcomers expect in terms of banking options, and maybe like what aspects of banking in Canada do you find surprise newcomers when they first arrive?
Yeah, no, I think that's a very good question. And as I was talking about what you need, Canada is the banking system in Canada is very reliable. It's a very convenient. There's a lot of online um, banks that HSBC Bank has a huge online presence, and you can open accounts through online. And so for a new immigrant that's either overseas or has come here, the important thing is to avail all their options. And you can either apply from being in the country that you are, or when you arrive in Canada, you can apply here. But one of the things that, when you come here, that you would notice is it is not always that easy to get a credit card and limits, where sometimes when you come here you may say, hey, you know what, I'm bringing all this money, why can't I get a huge limit? That's something that when I came to Canada 25 years ago, I found that a bit challenging. But the other thing that a lot of people notice when they come to Canada is how much, despite the fact that there's a lot of technology, how much Canadians value that personal advice and going to branches, and especially when they're talking of their major purchases. So Canadians are very good when it comes to using digital for opening accounts, doing day-to-day transactions. But when you are doing your mortgages, your investments, you see them much engaging with the physical branches when
Mm.
doing those types of transactions.
Right. So more digital for the everyday type of stuff, but when you get into the nitty gritty of banking and finances, it's you find a lot of people have more in-person interactions.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. And you touched on a subject that came up quite a bit in the comment section of the event that we set up on Facebook. We had quite a few community members from different parts of the world reach out saying, I'm from X country, I'm from this country, and I want to, move my funds to an account in Canada. But what is involved with this? What do immigrants need in terms of opening a bank account? And like, at what point in the journey does it make sense to open a bank account? Can they do it while they're still in their home country before coming to Canada?
Yeah, no, I think that's a very good question, and I kind of little bit touched on it
Hmm.
in my earlier remarks, but I'll make expand. And the most it's very important when you come to a new country to make sure that you are able to, when you come in, you will have to, look for a place to live. You need to go out there, do some shopping, and you need to make sure you have a local bank account and you can write your checks, do your transactions. So a good time is always to open a bank account when you are in your home country. And one of the ways to do that is, so you would not have your SIN. So the documents that would be acceptable to a bank would largely be your lending papers that you get from Immigration Canada, plus your foreign passports. Those two documents would be an essential one. And you can
Okay.
apply from being in whichever country you are, either through. So what I recommend that you go to our website, HSBC, which you will see on your screens too, hsbc.ca. Go there, look at New to Canada, and there you will see different options. You can apply online, call our telephone banking. I highly recommend people to go in there, apply online. That's a good way of doing it. But if you haven't done that, then the best way would be that when you have landed in Canada, go to one of our branches and they'll be more than happy to help you. Or you can even apply online when you are in Canada. But those two documents are the essential one. And there are always different documents and details which you can find from either our website or the Government of Canada website that also gives lots of details on what are the acceptable documents.
Right. But people can do it online. They can do it in person. In certain circumstances, they can do it before they arrive. So people really, you've got options out there. You've
Multiple
got
choices.
options. Um,
Yes.
and Raza, before we move on to our next topic, you keep talking about banking with HSBC. And I know you guys have this newcomers program, which we have been talking about, which is designed for recent immigrants. But from your perspective as the Chief Risk Officer of Wealth and Personal Banking, what are some of the advantages to HSBC's newcomers program?
Yeah, if you look at our new immigrant program, there are lots of advantages of that. One is when you bank with us, you can get up to $1,000 of benefits. There are conditions that apply that you can get by looking at our website. But when you are opening an account with HSBC, one of the biggest advantages are that you're opening with a global bank that has not only offices in Canada, but in multiple countries around the world. You get much easier way of moving money around the globe. We have mortgage programs that are specifically tailored to newcomers. Being a global bank, we understand how people from different parts of the world think, what their needs are, and our advisors and our sales individuals are very geared to understanding that and making sure that they're managing your needs. So you can go to, again, our website. There are lots of other benefits, but in the interest of time, those will be the ones I will quickly highlight.
Yeah, well, I mean, it sounds really cool. And honestly, from our experience over here at Moving to Canada, we've worked with you guys now for on a couple different guides for newcomers to Canada. So we know that you guys care not just about the financial experience of newcomers, but you put the time and energy into helping us get some content out there on things like going to school in Canada, mortgages and home buying, cell phones, all that sort of stuff. So those are some of the reasons that we're happy to represent or to recommend HSBC's newcomers program. And again, guys, if you want more information about that, all you got to do is click the link right there in the pinned comment. So we're going to move on to our next topic, closely related to bank accounts, which is credit cards. And they're closely related because your credit card may, in fact, be issued by your bank account. And I know we get a lot of feedback from our community, from newcomers who are a bit confused or put off by credit cards in Canada, or this concept, because not all countries use credit cards and not all countries use credit card debt in the same way. So, Raza, can you give people a quick lesson on credit cards? What is a credit card and how does it work?
Yeah, no, so I didn't touch on the benefits of HSBC because I thought you may ask me about credit card, because that's one of the biggest advantages of dealing with HSBC. So a credit card, as the name applies, is a card that is issued by a bank. And what it does, it allows you to buy goods and services in Canada by using your card. Now, each bank sets up a limit in terms of how much you can use that card for, and that's assigned. The bank decides how much limit they need to assign based on your credit history or your wealth or different things that the bank uses. And one of the things that when I again immigrated to Canada that I found very interesting is how much credit cards are being used here. When I came in, I thought if I went to a store and gave them cash versus a credit card, they'll be very happy to give me a bigger discount because they don't have to pay to a credit card company. But that's not how Canada works. In fact, when you use your credit card, you get more points and benefits. So it's very important for any new immigrant when they come to Canada to understand what a credit card is. And at HSBC Bank, we are so proud that we have a very competitive credit card, which can give you a limit of up to $5,000. And obviously conditions apply, but we are a very competitive bank when it comes to credit cards. I still remember, Dane, when I came to Canada, despite the fact that I was a chartered accountant, had a job, my first limit was only a few $100s. So
Oh,
again,
wow. Okay.
as a new immigrant, one of the things that our team in HSBC has done, that we have got lots of new immigrants or immigrants that came to Canada, and given their personal experiences, we have made sure we come up with offers that reflects what a new immigrant would be going through. And hence you see our offerings, which are very competitive in this space. And the last thing I want to also highlight to your audience here is it's very important in Canada to have a credit history,
Mm-hmm.
and a credit card allows you to have that credit history.
Okay. And just to clarify here, you talked about I'm going to jump back to the basics. You have this card that's issued by your bank. You have the limit that comes from your bank, but that's not actual money that's in your account. That's credit. So when you're purchasing things,
Yes.
it's on.
You still have to pay, Dane. There's no free lunch, and it's when the bank sends a limit at the end of every month, they will send you a bill, and you have to pay that bill within a couple of weeks. So obviously, yes, it's not. You can go out there and just buy stuff and not have to pay for it. You and I would love that, but
Oh yeah, I loved that a
yes.
bit too much in university.
But yes, absolutely, you're right that people, as they use the card every month end, they will get a bill and they have to pay that bill. And you have to make sure that you're paying that bill on a timely basis. That's very important. You,
Because that impacts, you had mentioned the credit history, which
yeah.
is an important thing in Canada. So I know if people aren't familiar with, like, if credit cards aren't used in their country as much, they might be thinking, why would I do this? Why would I take out money that I like don't really have, that I have to pay back every month? Why would I take that risk? But you mentioned the credit history is a really crucial thing to build in Canada. So can you speak a little bit about why that is so important?
Yeah, that's so. As any new immigrant come in, as they build their life in Canada, you need you would have many many needs that have to be satisfied. One could be that you want to get a mortgage, you want to rent a place, you want to apply for a job that sometimes does require employer to check your credit profile. And to do all of that, it's important to build a credit history. And in Canada, there are two big credit bureaus. One is Equifax and one is TransUnion. So when you, one of the quickest thing to build a credit history is as soon as you land, get a credit card. There are other ways too, but get a credit card. And then, as I said, start to use it and make sure you are paying on time so you can build a good credit history that will allow you to then use that credit history for availing other opportunities. And Dane, your team has really done a very good job and recently put a paper, as I understand, and that's one place where people can get us more information as to how to do that.
Yeah. We did put together a guide. Let me see if I can pull it up here. But in the meantime, I will just go on to another question for you. So you mentioned that the credit history is really important for doing these bigger purchases. So, once you are ready to buy a home or renting certain apartments, condos, even getting cell phones, sometimes they ask for a credit check. And I know it's sometimes the hardest thing for newcomers is getting that first foot in the door in terms of building a credit history, because when you don't have one, it can be really hard to get started. And you had mentioned this HSBC credit card that might be an option for newcomers. Is that an option that can help people build that credit history once they first arrive?
Yeah, absolutely. As I said, credit card is an important one, and at HSBC, we have a very competitive card that gives up to $5,000 of credit limit to qualified clients. So go onto our website, or when you are here, talk to one of our advisors. Absolutely, we are very competitive in that space.
Right. Perfect. And of course, terms and conditions apply to that offer. But again, for all of the information, you can simply click the link in the pinned comment. It's going to take you right to the HSBC website where you can get all of the information that you need. And just before we move on to our next topic, I will pull up here. This is a guide that we recently put together on 4 things that you need to know about credit scores as a newcomer to Canada. We wrote this in partnership with the team over at HSBC. So it was a bit of a joint effort there, but we've got more details here for those of you who are looking for them. And here, just before we move on, I'll pop a link to that right there in the comment section so you can check that out. If you'd like to read the full article. So we're going to move away now from the must-haves and to-dos upon arrival in Canada to our second big topic here, which is mortgages and buying a home in Canada. So I'm actually currently saving up to buy a home someday. So I'm familiar with how much time and energy and work goes into saving up the money for a home, and also B, how confusing it can be to navigate the world of home buying. And I'm from Canada, and it still confuses me. There's rates and mortgage periods and lenders and all of this fun stuff. So I'm hoping we can break some of that down for you guys today. So we're going to start simple. Raza, can you tell our viewers what is a mortgage?
Yeah, that's a very good question. I have a 9-year-old who also asked me those questions. Dad, what is mortgage? And so, in terms of a mortgage, simply put, mortgage. So when you come in to Canada, or you are a Canadian and you want to buy a house, not all of us, a very small amount of people would have money to buy the house. You typically have a small down payment, and you need someone to lend you that money. And typically, the bank would be the one lending you that money, and they would charge you an interest rate for lending you that money. Typically, those interest rates tend to be lower than than credit card
Mhm.
rates. And the bank will take your house as a security. So bank has taken your house as a security. Typically, these mortgages tend to be about 25 years in their period. The bank has taken the security, and once you have paid off your mortgage over 25 year, the bank will let you have your security back, and you'll be mortgage free.
Yeah, you own your house. The
Yes,
dream. That's the dream. And to jump back to our previous conversation, you guys remember we were just talking about credit scores and credit history. This is one of those times when your credit history and your credit
yes.
score are really important when you're applying to get approved for a mortgage. But another really crucial part of getting a mortgage is having a down payment ready. This is the stage that I'm at in my life right now. And my understanding is that the down payment is the big old chunk of money that you have to pay upfront in order to secure your home purchase. So, do I have that more or less right, Raza? Is there anything else you want to add there?
Yeah, no, you have, and down payment is very important. So when you, so in Canada, there are two ways you can get a mortgage. If you have less than 20% of down payment, then you have to go through an insured way of getting a mortgage. So that means that you have to have a mortgage insurance from the three insurance providers in Canada. And generally, when you are an immigrant coming who have less than 20%, while all insurance companies have programs, generally they would look to make sure that you have an income, you have a very good credit history. There are many more requirements for you to get that mortgage. However, if you have more than 20% of down payment, then there is much more flexibility. You don't need to have an insurance. Banks can directly lend you that money without going through the insurance process. And we at HSBC Canada have very, very flexible mortgages. So, and that, so typically the more down payment you can have, the more flexibility it provides to you.
Hmm.
So, Dane, I'm sure you are saving, and good luck to you. And I'm sure you will try to hopefully have more than 20%, so it allows you a lot of flexibility.
I hope so. Though I'm in Halifax right now, and the housing market's blown up in the past year. So I don't know. I don't know how long it's gonna take, but we're saving, and that's the important thing.
That's the important.
So you sort of hinted at this here, but once you get the mortgage, you have to pay it back with interest. And this interest is based on a mortgage rate. So can you explain what a mortgage rate is and the different types of mortgage rates that are out there?
Yeah, so there are two types of mortgage rate. One is fixed and one is variable. Again, I described in Canada, typically you would have a 25-year amortization over
Mm,
which your mortgage payments are amortized. But in Canada, typically the terms are much, much less than 25. So your rate will be fixed. Typically, it tends to be 5 years. There are other terms too. And most Canadians tend to choose 5 year, 3 year in that range of a mortgage. So the more, and what that term is that over that period of time, your mortgage payment your is agreed with the bank, and that rate can be fixed. So the rate is same rate throughout the mortgage term, or it could be variable. And in the case of variable, the rate changes with how the prime lending rate in Canada changes. Those are two ways that you can get your mortgage. Typically, again, this may be too much detail for your, and when you come here, you could speak to our advisors. Typically in Canada, in the case of variable rate mortgage, although your rate may change, but the payment doesn't change, and really the interest rate changes affect what goes towards a principal payment or what goes towards an interest payment throughout the term of your mortgage.
Okay. Okay. Cool. So I mean, and you just mentioned this, Raza, but if you're out there listening and your brain works like my brain, where you hear all the words and all the sentences make sense, but your brain can't quite put them together, uh, going in and talking with someone at HSBC is a great way to try to understand these things a little bit
And I
better.
think, Dane, that's why in my when you ask me about, what's so different, I think whenever you are doing a major purchase, it's very important to talk to somebody who is an expert. Don't do yourself, because it's very important to look at what your personal circumstances are, and based on those circumstances and your risk tolerances and what your appetite is, have a conversation with somebody who's knowledgeable, and then make those decisions whether you want to go variable, fixed, what term that you want to go for. So I highly recommend, when you arrive here, go to one of our branches or call our mortgage specialist team,
Mm.
who will be more than happy to have a phone discussion with you and take you through all the, the details.
I'll have to do that. Maybe I'll live stream my phone
Yeah.
call. So and for people who are looking to just play around and get a little bit of basic information, there are also tons of mortgage calculators out there on the internet, so you can plug in some different info and kind of get a sense of, if I have this much down payment and this long of a mortgage term or an amortization period, this is within the range of what I'll pay. But I know 2020 in particular has been a bit of a wild year, and that's putting it lightly, for financial markets around the world. So, has this, Raza, had any impact on mortgage rates in Canada?
Yeah, it has. One of the things that this pandemic has done is brought globally, the interest rates have come down as the governments are trying to, support local economies. And Canada is no different, where the rates have come down quite considerably. And when you look at the mortgage rates, um, they are, if you go to our website and you will look at the most current rate as of today, is lower than 2% for a 5-year fixed mortgage, and same for a variable rate. So we are talking about, when you talk to your parents or grandparents anywhere in the world, they'll talk about rates of 10, 12, 15%. And now you're seeing such low rates. And I guess that's also helping the housing market, where a lot of commentators thought that the housing market may soften due to pandemic, but given where the rates are, the
Hmm.
markets are remaining very healthy, and the rates are at historic lows. And
Um,
again, to your viewers, we are, we HSBC Bank offers one of the very competitive rates. So please do go to the website, look at that, have a discussion, and obviously, as you always say, terms and conditions always apply. See, I'm
yeah,
saying this because my legal guys won't be happy if I don't say that.
well, and I also want to throw out, if you are a viewer watching this and it is 6 months in the future, who knows where
Yes,
where we'll
yes.
be. Things
Oh,
are changing
absolutely.
rapidly, so
Absolutely.
just be aware of that too. But you can get the latest information, of course, on the HSBC website, right there in the pinned comment. But one of the last things I wanted to cover here, and Raza, you've been talking about this, is the topic of lenders. So who can give you your mortgage? And I know there are a few different types of mortgage lenders in Canada, but one of the main ones is banks. So, Raza, HSBC, you've given us a bit of detail about what HSBC offers in terms of mortgages. But do you have any other information or any other benefits to working with HSBC for your mortgage?
Yeah, I think as I described, the most important thing is to go to a lender that understands your needs. Obviously, each bank has its own niche. They and one of the things in Canada, what you would find is typically there are large banks that tend to deal with more of of um, what's called A lending. Then there are lots of smaller lenders that tend to do more subprime type of lending. But the important thing is always to find an institution that understands your need. And with HSBC Bank, we are a bank that is global, that is international. As I said, a lot of our employees reflect the new immigrants and immigrants that have come to Canada. So we understand what needs are. You can come and have those discussions where we can talk about your particular situation and meet your needs. We also have a first-time home buyer program that is for individuals that are buying their house for the first time. And we work through the mortgage insurance. So typically, and mortgage insurance is involved in the case of a first-time home buyer program, and you can get all the details through our website. And one thing that you would notice here, as of today, again, conditions apply, but the rates there are more competitive for a first-time home buyer versus a normal mortgage. And this is where um, in Canada, there's the governments and the banks are trying to help people that are entering the home ownership and trying to see how they can help them. These help the individuals, and the rates are very, very competitive.
Cool. Yeah. And I just pulled up the first time home buyers webpage on the HSBC website, scrolled through it for our viewers. And I also popped a link to that in the comments if you want to head over there for more information. So, just before we finish off today, we've got one last topic to cover. And that is a few special types of savings plans and accounts. Now, these are unique to Canada, and we could probably do an hour live stream on each of these alone, and still wouldn't get through all the information. So this is going to be a quick overview. But if you do want more information, we've put together a guide recently on the Moving to Canada website. Once again, in partnership with HSBC, I'll pull this up. I'll put the link in the comments that goes in more depth here. But what we are covering here is saving and investing in Canada. We're covering RRSPs, RESPs, and TFSAs. So, Raza, what you and I are going to do here is a little bit of a speed round, a lightning round, if you will. So, I'm just going to ask you to rattle through each of these basically as quickly as you can, and maybe as quickly as you ever have in your financial career. So, let's start things off. What does RRSP stand for, and what is it used to save for?
I think, Dane, the only thing I would say is you are absolutely right. We can spend a lot of time here. So there are lots of details here. But the important thing to know here is it, savings are very important for anyone, especially as individuals live through their life and come to retirement. And in Canada, the government tries to ensure that the citizens are saving. So hence, over time, they have come up with lots of different programs. So an RRSP it's what's called registered retirement savings plan. So as the name implies, it's a plan that you set up through a financial institution. A bank would be one of those, where you are saving money tax free, and there are limits in terms of how much you can put into an RRSP based on your income. And the good thing is that when you put money into your RRSP, that money is deductible from your income from it, and is a tax efficient way, of contributing into your savings. Obviously, there are limits, and you can go into moving to Canada website, and there are more details there about the various limits that exist.
Yeah, and I've got that article pulled up on the Moving to Canada website. I'll pop the link in the comments there in a second. But second item here in our speed round, Raza, the RESP. Can you tell our our audience what does that stand for and what's it used to save for?
So this one I love because I have 4 children, and so basically what this says is that you are allowed, the Canadians or people that are working here are allowed to set money aside for their child's post-secondary education. Now, that can be the parents or grandparents or uncles, but there are limits per child, and and the government also gives you a grant every year based on your contribution. The maximum the government gives you is $500 every year per child. There are limits in terms of the maximum amount you can contribute over a period of time. So again, highly encourage you to get those details. But the good thing here is you are setting every year money aside for your children. Lots of immigrants have desires about their children in terms of how much, what education they want them to have. And it is expensive, so it's important to save early. And I highly encourage you to make sure that when you immigrate, to set this account for your children.
Mm-hmm. And I've pulled that up on our website here, and I just put the link in the comment section. And guys, look, great birthday present for your. I mean, if you're like me, and I'm probably not going to have kids, it's great for your nieces and nephews. Nothing like an RESP. That
Oh,
funds your education.
every child then needs an uncle like you, Dane.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that. I'll take the compliment. We've got one last item in our speed round, Raza. TFSAs. Can you tell our viewers what is a TFSA? What does that stand for, and what's it used to save for?
Yeah, so TFSA is tax-free savings account, very similar concept where again the government is encouraging people to save. Here, unlike RRSPs where your contributions can be, tax offset against your tax liability, in the TFSA that doesn't apply, but each person gets a limit every year. The most current limit is $6,000, where you can use your after-tax money, put it into this account, and then generally any income that you earn in this account would be tax-free. So again, a very good account, and it's something that most people that are saving should really consider.
Yeah. I feel like you
Jane,
deserve
have you got your TFSA set up?
I I do, but there's not very
But
much money in it.
you should come and talk to one of our advisors. They'll really help you out there.
Oh yeah, I should. I have a lot. I have a lot of shame, but you know what? I do feel like it would be very valuable to me to talk to someone about. I don't think that I'm optimizing how I'm saving for
Yeah,
my
I think
future
that would be
home.
very good. And especially even when you're saving for an RSP, you could also use part of that for your down payment. So there are lots of details. So again, this is why you need to talk to an advisor who can really help you to make sure how you can achieve your objective in a tax efficient way.
Yeah, and if you read through the guide that we've published in partnership with you folks over at HSBC, we highlight a bunch of different we call them like superpowers, special sort of like tax things, savings things that you get with each of these different accounts, and
Yes.
it can get pretty confusing pretty quickly. So again, it's definitely worth your time to speak with an advisor, someone who will be able to explain it to you in a way that makes sense, but also is relevant to your situation and your financial goals. So yeah, check out that article. It's in the comment section here. So we've actually gotten through everything that was on the docket for today. But before we finish off, Raza, I wanted to give you one last chance. Do you have any other financial tips or tricks, or any other advice that you'd like to share with newcomers to Canada?
Yeah, so I think coming to a new country is a very big decision, and I lived through it when as I said, I came here 25 years ago. And as you come in here, it's an exciting. Canada is a really exciting place to be in, but it's not easy to immigrate to a new place, and you need to make sure that you're focusing on your how do you quickly get your job, because that is important. So when you are overseas, and plan ahead. Planning is the most important thing. So when you are applying, look at in your job what kind of education you would need. So your professional association that may exist in Canada, connect with them. Try to understand what courses you can do before even coming to Canada. So look into those kind of things, because it's going to be important to make sure you get uh, land into a job as soon as you arrive, and doing some of these pre-planning courses in advance would really help. I know moving to Canada has lots of great tips. You can get that through their website and connecting with them. And at the same time, financial, it trying to make sure that you have a tick mark against your financial needs is important too. So open it, visit one of our visit our website, try to open, as I said, a bank account even before you come here. And when you land, my advice would be to connect with HSBC, because as I said, we are an international bank. There's no bank in Canada that has, while there are many banks in Canada, but we have over 135 branches here, and there's no bank in Canada that has the global presence that we have. And so there's in terms of a domestic bank, and there is no international bank in Canada that has as many branches and as wide of a network that we have. So we truly understand the needs of new immigrants. So connect with us, talk to one of our advisors, and I think that would be they will be able to help each based on your each individual case, because each case is unique, and people need to understand that.
Right. And I mean, once you're here in Canada, go in person, connect with someone at an HSBC branch. You get to talk to a friendly human like Raza.
Yeah,
It's gonna be a
yeah,
good conversation.
absolutely.
You're gonna learn some stuff. And you mentioned, Raza, the importance of doing your research up front, whether it's into your finances or into career, making sure that you have the proper license or certification for that. And that's that's our mandate here at Move Into Canada, is to inform people about that process. And one of the things that we tell our community is inform yourself, empower yourself. The information that you research and dive into before you come is what's really going to give you that foundation for success in Canada. We've got a ton of that information on our website. And as I mentioned earlier, we've just put up a bunch of new guides that we produced in partnership with HSBC Bank Canada. It's one of the reasons that we're super happy to recommend you guys, because it's clear that you don't just care about the financial needs of newcomers, but you've helped us in terms of creating guides on things like schooling for people who have new families or are planning to have kids here in Canada, guides on cell phones, on investing, on all of these different topics. And so that is one of the big reasons why we're happy to recommend the HSBC Newcomers program. In case you missed this at the beginning, it's HSBC is an international bank. They understand the challenges of moving to a new country, and they got offerings that are uniquely suited to newcomers. This includes multi-currency savings accounts, globally accessible bank accounts, plus all of the other perks that Raza has gone through throughout this video. Terms and conditions do, of course, apply, but you can read all of them and get all the information you need just by clicking the pinned comment on this live stream. So we're pretty much done here for the day. Just before I end the live stream, I did want to take a moment and thank you, Raza, for joining us. It's been a pleasure talking with you, and I'm sure our audience has loved some of the expertise that you've shared.
Thank you. Thanks, Dean. I really enjoyed it. Thanks for your all your questions and insights.
No problem at all. And of course, we want to thank you guys, our community, our audience. Thank you for watching. If you're watching this later, once we've uploaded it to YouTube, you can find links to all of the HSBC products, all of the Moving to Canada guides right there in the description. So thanks again for joining us today. We will, of course, go live next time. We've got more informational guides to share with you, or next time there are important updates to Canadian immigration. Thanks so much, and we will see you next time.
Thank you.